You remember Clavicle Girl? She appeared there on January 6 on the Select Committee congressional hearings. She was asked a bunch of questions from Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger and many others. Well, she had a lawyer before she went there and testified in front of their fake committee hearings. And that lawyer has now filed a lawsuit against the committee themselves. Former Cassidy Hutchinson attorney is now suing the House of Representatives over the J6 smears. This came out as an exclusive from The Federalist. The lawyer, his name is Stefan Passantino, represented Cassidy Hutchinson amid the J6 committee proceedings, and then apparently was not there any longer, filed a $67 million claim. That's a big claim. He's a Washington, D.C. attorney, represented White House aide. You remember her, Cassidy Hutchinson. She was the woman, when she was testifying, hanging out with Liz Cheney, saying that Donald Trump, according to her, she heard all of these things, hearsay, like the game of telephone. One person says it, tells another person, tells another person. Well, she was saying in front of Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger and Jamie Raskin that Donald Trump, that he was ordering Secret Service people to go do this and go do that, and that he reached in across the front and grabbed a Secret Service agent, the driver, by the clavicle. We were all sitting here going, that's a weird thing to do. Grab him by the clavicle? This bone right here, you know. And we say, that's a very interesting statement. Did somebody tell you that? And how did this game of telephone get played? Because, you know, when you play a game of telephone, somebody changes the word and everything gets a little bit twisted by the time it lands in your ears. And so she's testifying, explaining that there is this sequence of events that happen. And we want to know, we want to probe that and ask about the clavicle attack, if Donald Trump really did attack the clavicle when he was trying to take over the country. So the story says that this lawyer who used to represent her has sued. We're going to take a look at the lawsuit, but he filed a Tort Claims Act against the January 6th committee. So he's suing Cheney, suing Kinzinger, suing the entire committee, calling it an abuse of power that undermined legal ethics to pursue a political narrative. Exactly what we've been saying for a long time. We've been saying that this committee was illegally constituted. They had no basis for even existing according to their own rules, and that they were doing a show trial that didn't even have any adversarial proceedings allowed. There were no cross-examinations. There were no contradictory witnesses taking place or being presented. It was all just a big fake show, a book report that Liz Cheney put together that felt like they used crayons. Hutchinson, according to this lawsuit, was co-opted by members of the committee to circumvent Passantino and to orchestrate a defamatory operation against the longtime attorney as a vehicle of witness intimidation amid the proceedings. Hutchinson was a star witness, Clavicle Girl, after the former assistant to the chief of staff, Mark Meadows, offered bombshell testimony, they say, as the Capitol riot unfolded. At one of the committee's several hearings, Hutchinson claimed President Trump tried to violently hijack the presidential limousine and drive himself to the riot down to Pennsylvania Avenue. Yeah, he was going to take over, reach over, and clavicleize the driver. Now, her testimony obviously was inaccurate, relied entirely on third-party conversations, all hearsay, never would have been admitted in a regular court of law in a criminal trial. Wasn't subject to cross-examination, was playing patty cake with Kinzinger and Cheney, was immediately contradicted when her sources went on the record to refute her claims. But too late, the damage had already been done. The media took this and ran with it. They said, Trump tried to steal and hijack this car to go ram it into the Capitol and grab the podium. A whole series of claims by Hutchinson in a more than 2-hour appearance was contradicted days later, but that's not what they cared about. They just needed it out. Hutchinson, very curiously, had a change in legal representation the days before her testimony. Passantino, her prior lawyer, served as White House counsel for 2 years, was her lawyer up until she took the spotlight. She was connected with him for a long time. She sat for 3 depots before her public appearance. And she did another one coordinating with the committee after some time and did so without Mr. Passantino's knowledge. And so he filed a lawsuit. This is the lawsuit against the January 6th fake illegally constituted select committee brought by Stefan Passantino. Signing the cover sheet, it's a tort claim for personal injury and damages totaling $67 million. Woo, woo, that is a big one. This is what he writes. On December 19th, Stefan Passantino, Cassidy Hutchinson's former lawyer, got a call from CNN asking for a comment about a story they're running. They're working with the J6 committee. They were going to run this story publicly against Mr. Passantino pertaining to his representation about Cassidy. That's weird. This lawyer's sitting here. Some losers at CNN call him. Hey, we're about to run this story blasting you. He says prior to this date and thereafter this date, the committee also acted against Mr. Passantino, this lawyer, to destroy his reputation and his career in support of a political narrative against Trump. Prior to this date, members of the committee, including Liz Cheney and others, he says, manufactured and promoted a false narrative against this lawyer without ever even contacting him, never interviewed him, never provided him with a notice of claims or anything. The committee did not even afford elementary due process afforded to every American citizen, as they did not even provide him with an opportunity to respond. So all of these things that we knew that the committee was doing, this is a lawyer saying, yeah, they did it to me exactly. There was no due process. They didn't even tell me they were doing these things. And they're shoving all of this into the front of the American public for political purposes. The committee also exceeded its constitutional authority by trying to, quote, interview under false pretenses this lawyer. They maliciously interfered with the attorney-client relationship between Mr. Passantino and his client. They communicated with his client without his consent, and they generated a false narrative about that attorney-client relationship. They give legal advice to his client. They had many other people in this game. Alyssa Farah promoted the false narrative that disregarded Mr. Passantino's rights as an American citizen. And he says, these have all caused injuries. You've destroyed my relationship with my client. You've destroyed my reputation. You've created a false narrative about the work that we're doing, and I have been damaged. Now, without undertaking any, they say, meaningful effort to verify any of these highly inflammatory charges leveled against this lawyer, the committee conspired with CNN and others to create a narrative that would injure me. The committee, which has proven itself time and time again to be biased against anyone associated with Trump, is creating false assumptions and attacking lawyers. The committee, through a back channel directly to Mr. Passantino, this lawyer's client, convinced Cassidy Hutchinson to sit for additional interviews and give incredible testimony that could then be peddled by national news and friendly media to damage Mr. Passantino, trying to say, hey, just talk to us. Don't talk to your lawyer. Can you imagine if a cop did that? But without providing any notice to Mr. Passantino or even contacting him, they leaked information to CNN. They say this was wholly outside the committee's constitutional authority to do so. They had no basis, no right, no authority to engage in this activity. They did not even seek to verify the truth of the allegations before they put that out there in front of America. The committee knew or should have known this was not only true, but it also did not serve the legitimate interest of the public. And therefore, he seeks restitution from the United States for the damages done to him under the Federal Tort Claims Act. He's entitled to be fully compensated for each and every one of his pecuniary and non-pecuniary losses resulting in harm. He's detailing several witnesses in this complaint, including Liz Horning, Susie Wheels, Alyssa Farah, Cassidy Hutchinson, Dan George, Alex Cannon, Pam Brown, Caitlin Polantz, and guess what? Members of the January 6th Select Committee. Are we going to see Benny Thompson in this case? Are we going to see Liz Cheney, crying Adam Kinzinger, slippery Jamie Raskin? Only time will tell. But hopefully he gets his $67 million from this illegally constituted January 6th Select Garbage Committee.